And welcome in, everybody. Happy Wednesday. This is Pucks from the Pine Tree Pod. My name is Benjamin Kennedy, coming to you today from a very hot and humid Cumberland, Maine. This is our first real wave of good heat here this summer. So I hope everybody out there is staying hydrated, hopefully near some water, and hopefully having a fun day. Got a few things to go over today. Wonderful game five last night in the Stanley Cup final. Wanted to kind of give my thoughts on that game and a bunch of different NHL news as far as transactions go. I did have a big trade today, which I want to go over as well. But first of all, congrats to the Boston Celtics. A couple nights ago, finishing off the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games, winning their 18th championship. So great to see the TD Garden alive and rocking. As much as it would be better for me if it was the Bruins, it's great to see that building and those fans getting after it. So good on the Celtics. More importantly than that, though, last night we had our very first T-ball game for my little kid. Got a hit it really good off the tee. Was really proud of him. It was just so much fun to be out there with him, and my mama was out watching as well. And yeah, just you know, seeing these little kids out there just running around, not really sure what they're doing. At one point, one of the little kids picked a flower and handed it to one of the coaches. It's just just awesome stuff. So good on my kiddo for his first T-ball hit. Proud of you. Proud of you. Uh, we do have a trade to report today. This is one that I think had been quite a while in the making. It was a trade that we had talked about in a previous video of a potential. But Jacob Markstrom, goalie from Calgary, getting traded to the New Jersey Devils today. He is 34 years old, does carry a 2-year, at 6 million per year contract. Last season with Calgary, he was 23, 23, and 2 with a 2.78 goals against and a 905 save percentage. In return, Calgary is receiving defenseman Kevin Ball, 23-year-old physical defenseman. 82 games last year. He was 1 goal, 10 assists for 11 points. Just the 1 year left, a little over $1 million a year for him. Uh, Calgary also gets a 2025 first round pick. Now, this pick is top 10 protected. What that means is if New Jersey has another bad year and they end up in the top 10 in the draft, that pick stays in New Jersey, and Calgary would get another first round pick down the road. In this deal, Calgary is also retaining 30% of Markstrom's salary. So of that 6 million, roughly 2 million of it, right around there, is staying on the Calgary books. So uh, I love this trade for New Jersey. I think it takes care of a big need that they had. They get to keep their 2024 first round pick, which is number 10 in this year's draft. Um, and they get Calgary to keep 30% of the salary. So I think it's a win-win-win all around for the Devils. You partner him up with Jake Allen, goalie they picked up last year. I think that's just a great tandem, and I already kind of thought New Jersey was probably bound to be back in the playoffs next year. I think this just helps their chances even more. Markstrom can be one heck of a goaltender. Uh, Calgary fans may not be blown away by this return, but truly, when you break it down, it's really not that bad. Ball is a very good physical defenseman. He's only 23 years old. I think he will be an RFA after this last year, so you'll have some control over him. And he's a type of player that every team needs. You need those physical type defensemen that are gonna, forecheck and kind of get after it. Calgary does have a young goaltender in Dustin Wolf, so he's getting closer and closer to ready to go. I think there's some talk that maybe this year he's ready, but he's definitely the future there for Calgary. And listen, you get the $4 million off the books. And oftentimes in these deals, that is maybe the most valuable thing Calgary can get there, creating that cap flexibility as you get ready for July 1st. I'm going to reference Andrew Raycroft, Razor from Nesson, and these are some comments he had. Of course, he's a longtime goalie in the NHL. But around the trade deadline, when there was some talk about Markstrom, there was talk about Allmark to LA. Razor had a really good comment about the value of goaltenders, and that you typically value your own goaltender more than other teams will. That it really has more to do with the system and the style you're playing with that really creates that value. So if you think about Boston, for example, the strength of the team, the identity of the team last year was goaltending, was Allmark and Swayman. Super valuable. But how much value does Allmark have? Versus what he meant to the Boston Bruins last year. It's going to be different. It's just going to be different. So you often see this that goalies tend not to bring back the package or bring back the return you expect, and we've seen this a lot. So just again, temper your expectations if you're a Bruins fan. If you're an Anaheim fan looking at the Gibson situation, you'll get something back in return. But I know in Boston's case, it'll be that cap flexibility that will be maybe the most valuable thing, and I think that does play here for Calgary. So uh, end of the day, I think good trade for both clubs. I do think New Jersey gets the better end of it. They really pick up a player that they really, really needed. So first domino has fallen there on the goalie tree. So what does this mean for Allmark? What does this mean for a John Gibson? You still have Ottawa, you still have LA, Carolina, Colorado, very much kind of in that goalie market. Uh, it's going to get interesting. I'll be curious to see if one of these other guys, if they don't move fairly quickly now that Markstrom is off the board. We'll see. We'll see. Yesterday, Vancouver making the news. They did re-sign Philip Hronik, defenseman, 26 years old. Signed him to an 8-year, $7.25 million per season contract. 81 games last year. He was 5 goals, 43 assists for 48 points. He'll be in the top four grouping there for the Vancouver defenseman. Good fit there. Vancouver picked him up. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Detroit a couple years back, and has just been a really good fit there for Vancouver. This does leave the Canucks with just over 16 million in cap space going into July 1. So, and they have a lot of other UFAs on the books to worry about. Dakota Joshua's one. Of course, Elias Lindholm is really the one that um, Bruins fans are kind of focusing on as Boston has really targeted him. I'll be curious if how Vancouver can operate now. I mean, they still have some money, but they got to be really smart with it. They're going to lose some of these guys. That's just what it's going to be for them. But I think Hronik getting him signed, locking him up, I think a good move for them. Couple other bits of roster news. Elliot Friedman reporting, I think it was yesterday, that Jeff Skinner will most likely be waived from Buffalo. This is really a precursor to a buyout. When you get waived, it's you're getting ready to get bought out. Skinner's 32 years old, has 3 years left at $9 million per season. So this makes all the sense in the world for Buffalo. I don't think anybody's going to pick him up if he does get waived. And then New York Rangers waived Barclay Goodrow, 31-year-old forward, had 3 years, a little over 3.6 million per season on that contract left. Again, for purposes of a buyout. Just a few minutes ago, it was announced that the San Jose Sharks did put a waiver claim in on Goodrow. So I'm sure New York Ranger fans and the New York manager's probably jumping for joy. That money comes off the books. And a good veteran player for San Jose, rebuilding San Jose team, where they're going to need some veteran, gritty guys to help protect Celebrini and Will Smith and some of these other young kids they have there. And for Goodrow, it's a homecoming. Played his first 6 seasons were there in San Jose. So in that case, kind of makes sense. And San Jose has just tons of money under the cap. So good on them. A little bit of talk about Mitch Marner coming from Darren Dreger from TSN. Hearing chatter that instead of trading Mitch Marner, uh, Toronto may actually look to extend him. And we know he's just got the 1 year left, I think at $10 million for this season. And he does have a full no movement clause. So, like we talked about before, Mitch doesn't want to go anyplace this year. He doesn't have to. I find it curious, though, if Toronto's going to roll this back. We know they got the new coach, and we know that the equation right now just it hasn't worked, right? Great in the regular season, dynamic offense. It's a lot of fun to watch, but you get the playoffs, you don't have the goaltending, you don't have the depth on D, you don't have the toughness and the grittiness that you really need. You look at Florida and Edmonton right now, you see how tough and just brutal those teams are. That's not Toronto. and re-sign Mitch Marner. Are you just doing more of the same? Doing more of the same. Be curious to see what happens. I think if I'm Toronto, as much as I like Mitch in the regular year, I just think he has so many needs on this team at 10, 12, probably be more like a $12 million contract that he'll be looking for. That's a lot of money to give to one player, especially when you have so many other needs on your team. But curious there. Torrey Krug rumors. Old friend Torrey Krug, defenseman now for the St. Louis Blues. Some conversation that he may get bought out of his contract. He's got 3 years left at 6.5 million. No, last season he did block a trade to Philadelphia to stay there in St. Louis. I just think the Blues, they're probably looking at this, the return on investment. The Krug hasn't been great. He's been okay, but his numbers are definitely down a little bit from when he was in Boston. A little bit of injury history in there now for him as well. This past season, he was through 77 games, 4 goals, 35 assists for 39 points. Um, Listen, there's been some chatter. People, remembering the good old days and how do we bring him back to Boston? I liked him when he was here. He fit into what we needed at the time. Small, kind of smaller puck moving type defenseman. Played tough as well. We all remember that big hit he had in the cup final. Um, but this isn't really what the team needs right now. We've had enough of these undersized puck moving defensemen. We don't need any more of that. What we need is size. We need physicality. Someone that can really get out there and forecheck and create chaos. At this point in his career, that's not Torrey Krug. So uh, see what happens there. So kind of the news of the day on that front. I want to jump into what we witnessed last night in Game Five between Edmonton and the Florida Panthers down in Sunrise. Guys, this was easily the most entertaining and best game of the series so far. It had a little bit of everything, and I'm just excited that we get to keep watching more hockey. Right? We got at least one more game to go, so that's great for everybody. Maybe not so great if you're a Florida Panther fan, but it was a fun game. Um, I think after that game 4, you did expect that Florida was gonna come right out of the gate and try to get things going, and they did. In those first few minutes, they were hopping, they were moving, they were getting the shots, and it's kind of that first wave that Edmonton knew they probably had to, survive, and they did. Um, Again, they were able to start moving the puck quickly, and it did get Florida kinda on their toes, and kinda got Florida out of their own forechecking game. In that first period, both teams did have power play opportunities, didn't generate much on either one of those. Um, and through the last 14 minutes of that first period, Florida had no shots on goal. So Edmonton really, after that first initial wave that Florida had, Edmonton really shut it down. And it was on a Florida power play that Connor Brown does score on the shorthanded uh, nature um, to give them a 1-0 lead there for Edmonton. Second shorthanded goal given up by Florida in back-to-back games. So tough one there for Florida, something they will definitely need to clean up. So you end the first period, 1-0 Edmonton. You get into the second period. Edmonton does start that on the power play. Bouchard rips a shot, goes off a Hyman with about 2 seconds to go on the power play. So right out of the gate to start the second period, it's 2-0, and the crowd is getting quiet. Very, very quiet. Beyond that, you have a little while later, Fogle wins a race to the puck. Puck's getting dumped down into the D zone, Florida's D zone, and Fogle wins the race to negate an icing. From there, McDavid puck finds McDavid's stick, uh, pops it in from basically a zero angle onto the goalie to make it 3-0. Beautiful, beautiful goal. Truly, that kind of goal. There's maybe 5 guys in the league that can shoot that and make that go in. Um, Kind of feel bad for Bob on that one. Not much else he could really do. It's just Connor McDavid doing Connor McDavid type stuff. So all of a sudden, it's 3-0, and the crowd is just quiet, very very quiet in that building. Edmonton's just controlling the pace of play, controlling. Uh, Florida kind of getting Florida out of their ability to forecheck and create the chaos they like to create much like they did in Game 4. And it's starting to feel that way at this point. Like, oh, are we going to have another 6, 7? 8 goals on the board for Edmonton. Not long after this, though, I think it was actually right after Paul Maurice was interviewed by Emily Kaplan, Kachuk does bury one after just a horrendous turnover by Holloway. Um, Kachuk buries it, makes it 3-1. Just really a break that Florida needed to get back into this game. I know listening to the call, Ray Ferraro really called out Evan Bouchard for being way out of position on that play, and it really allowed Kachuk just to kind of go in all alone on Skinner. But you get the goal, you also get the crowd humming again. They get back into it, and from that goal, from that energy, you can start to see Florida tilting the ice a little bit back into their favor, starting to get back to their game a little bit. Um, you continue on in that second period. McDavid makes just another gorgeous move, showing off his speed, showing off his skating ability, splitting the D, feeds it over to Corey Perry on a rush, and Perry pops in his first goal of the final, making it 4-1. And then 14 seconds later, you get an answer from Florida. This period was just crazy. It was just crazy land out there. But Evan Rodriguez, BU's Evan Rodriguez, pops one in. Florida just down in the zone, outworking Edmonton on that one. The puck does go in off of Nurse's glove, so a little bit of an own goal. Probably was going in anyway, but it does hit off Nurse. Tough break for the goaltender, but now all of a sudden we are 4-2. So what seemed like a definite win for Edmonton now, getting in question, and the crowd is really jonesed up now. So um, from there, you do have just another kind of speed burst from McDavid, where he's just so fun to watch. He's so fast. He's so smooth on his skates. But his speed does create another power play opportunity for Edmonton. 51 seconds into that power play, though, Edmonton gets called for I can't remember if it was a slash or hook, and so you go to a 4-4. Everything gets killed off basically on that one. But you're getting to the end of that second period, guys, and Florida's clicking. They're getting into their flurry mode, into their kind of tornado mode, starting to control the play. They're winning the dot, the battle in the faceoff circle at about a 60% rate, and they just get a ton of shots there. You could tell they wanted to get that third one before the second period ended. I think they had like six or seven shots in about a minute stretch at some point at the end of that second period. But Skinner holding his own. Um, Florida did. I think they had 19 of the last uh, 20 shot attempts in that period. So yeah, they were really trying to get that third goal in there. But it was just a nutty period. After a 1-0 first period, you had 5 goals in that second. So it was a just for TV production value, it was a lot of fun. It was awesome to see. Um, you get into the third period, and of course now the tension really starts to build up. You can feel it in the building. I could feel it just sitting here watching it from home. But the period starts. Edmonton has just a really soft, really bad failed attempt to clear the puck out. Uh, Finds Matthew Kachuk's stick. He gets it over to Oliver Ekman Larkman uh, uh, for a goal. And right before that, actually, there was a situation where Kachuk, I think he gets hit. Crowd want a penalty, but OEL pops in that goal 4-3 with tons and tons of time left. So really starting to get tense now. But Florida does keep the pressure on. They continue to make Edmonton work to get clears. Um, but Skinner continues just to hold his own, staying on point. See puck, stop puck, kind of thing for Stuart Skinner. And I do think Edmonton did a fairly good job of, as much as Florida tried to muddy it up in front of him, they did an okay job of kind of keeping that cleared out so Skinner could see the puck. Um, but you could definitely see Florida really starting to push now. But just quite an amazing end as this game gets closer to the end. Florida kind of struggling. They can't get that tying goal. They're doing everything they can. They pull the goaltender, and there are two different opportunities that Edmonton has to bury an empty netter. One that goes off the post, and then another one, just a crazy effort by Matthew Kachuk. If you haven't seen the play, you got to go check it out. The puck is shot in on that empty net, and Matthew Kachuk dives and with his stick is able to get the puck right at the very end, pops it out. Unfortunately for Kachuk, the puck finds 97, Connor McDavid, and he's able to bury it to end the game 5-3. Awesome game, energetic game, fun game. Definitely kept me off my seat. But this is only Edmonton, I should say, is the fourth team to force a game six after being down 3-0 in a Stanley Cup final. So again, this isn't something we see very often. And it does lead us to a game six that will be played back in Edmonton on Friday night. That building is going to be rocking. It's already, I think, one of the louder buildings in the NHL. And you got a bunch of Canadian hockey fans on a Friday night, Stanley Cup final. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see what happens. I'm cheering for a game seven, just because I'm selfish. I want more hockey. We all want more hockey, but should be a lot of fun. Hey guys, that's it for today. I hope you all again stay cool out there, and we will all talk to you again soon.